Okay, folks, first thing we got to do here is I got this blade down on this piece of 7-ounce leather. That's what I'm making this sheath out of, 7-ounce leather, veg tan leather. And I'm going to trace around it with a gray chalk pencil where I'll cut this out to make the inlay pocket. This will be the area for my inlay pocket. Okay, now I got this cutting knife here, a swivel cutting knife for cutting designs on leather and tracing patterns out. I'm cutting along this layout line that I made that I'm going to cut out for the inlay pocket. I'll do this all the way down. Okay, now I got this protractor. I'm gonna put the point metal part in this line that I cut out. I'm gonna scribe all the way around it to get my dimension of my actual sheath. I'm gonna start back a ways because I want to put a round bull nose on the bottom of the sheath for a lanyard hole. I'll do this all the way around until I get the shape that I need. Now here you see me cutting this out along that line that I just made. Alright, and this will be the outside dimension of the sheath. Okay, now I'm putting some tape on the back of it, packaging tape, so that when I go to stamp this, it doesn't expand on me. Now I'm wetting it and getting ready to stamp it. Okay, now this is what I'm coming in here with this cut tool, cutting knife again, to cut this a little bit deeper for carving the leather. Alright, now I got this D436 camouflage tool to do a real nice border around this. You can get these in anywhere. Hobby Lobby's got them. Start in one corner, work my way all the way around. Do both corners and then do one in between. Then get enough room to get 4 of them in there. So I just space it out evenly. Now make the same space here that you see all the way around it. Okay, I have another border tool I'm going to put in between these gaps I have on the first border tool, and this is an N300 border tool. You can also get this in a set at a Hobby Lobby or any craft stores that sell border tools. I'm applying this in between the gaps that I made from the first border tool to fill the gap. Give it more of a decorative touch all the way around. See, I'm coming here to the end. I'll put this at a point towards the bottom of the sheath. Line it up and get it nice. And there we have it. One border is complete. Looks pretty nice, I think. Now I can cut out this inlay insert in the line I scribed on the inside. That's next. Actually here, I'm going to take this next tool that I have, a shading tool, and I'm going to go along that line opposite that I cut. So I give it a 3-dimension. This tool here is a B702 border shading tool. I'll start in the corner and work my way around. Like I said, this will give a 3-dimensional look. It'll raise it from the line out towards my stitch area. Okay, there's what it looks like shaded. Now I'm going to cut it out, get ready for the inlay. Okay, I cut it out with a utility knife. And that's where my inlay will go inside of. Now I'm doing what they call slicking the leather. And essentially wetting the leather down. And then rub it with this rubbing tool. It's a wooden dowel-like tool. That'll slick this whole leather smooth for the inlay. Alright, I got this inlay here that I'm going to be putting in. And this is what's called Hornback alligator. And this is real alligator skin. And it's real tough to cut because it's got the calcium deposits inside of the horns. It's basically like the calcium from a horn on a deer. If you grind the stuff, it smells just like deer antler, identical. So it's basically the same calcium that makes up a deer horn, deer antler, in this case a horn. These horns that come across the back of the alligator. So you see how tough it is to cut through it. And if you look at it from the side view, you'll see the calcium. So this will go on the inside of the piece that I decorated, just like that. That's ready to go. So next, I need to punch out my stitching lines for stitching it up. Just to give you an idea here a little bit. What's it gonna look like? Okay, now I got this stitching groove tool. You can buy these at any leather supply shop and even on Amazon. You set your depth that you want the cutting portion of it to cut from the edge of where you're cutting to. This makes a nice groove so that when you stitch, the stitching goes inside the leather below the surface so you can't fray it or snag it on anything. This makes a layout for that, as well as punching out the holes. It gives you a guide to where you want to punch the holes in and lays the stitching below the surface. Okay, now the stitching groove's in. I'm going to use these hole punches to punch out my holes for stitching my inlay in. That groove tool gave me a guideline so that I could punch these holes in. Okay, here you can see on this piece the calcium deposits inside the horns. I sanded this down around the edges where it's too pronounced to be sewn into the leather, so I had to take it down on a sanding wheel where it meets the inside of the leather, so it's flat. But them are the calcium deposits, and it smells just like deer antler, believe me. So that's thin enough and nice, and I can get this thing glued up and get it ready to sew up. Okay, now I'm going to take a scabbing tool here, and I'm going to scuff the surface all the way around on the outside of my layout line that ain't being showed in the inlay. This roughs up the surface, so when I put glue on it, it bonds really well to the underside of the facing leather. Now time for some glue up. This is Equal Weld, it's called. You can get it in Amazon or any leather supply house. It's an alternative to a compound cement. You can use a barge contact cement or Equal Weld. I love using this Equal Weld. It's non-toxic and it dries tacky fairly quick. In fact, a lot quicker, I think, than the other stuff. So I'll glue this up and get it ready. Alright, next now here, I'm going to drill this out with a 16-inch drill bit for stitching it together. You can't punch these out with any other type of punch. You have to drill them because of the calcium deposits in the horns that's underneath. Trying to go through it with a die tool for stitching is next to impossible. In fact, I'll do the whole sheath with this 16-inch drill bit. Alright, time to thread up the needle. I've got this synthetic sinew thread that I'll be using. It's like a nylon thread, but a lot tougher. And it's a thicker thread too. So I'm cleaning the needles off here and getting them ready to put the thread on. Figured I'd show you how I do this. So I'll take out my thread here as much as I need. And I'll show you here in a second how I measure how much I need. I take my piece and I'll put my thread down and go all the way around it one time. Okay. Now, this is a 7-ounce piece of leather, so I need between 5 and 6 double ups. I'm just doubling this up each time until I get 6 strands. You can get away with about 5, but I always give myself a little extra play. So I always go 6 on a single layer of leather. When I do the thicker outer casing of the sheath, you'll see I'll do 7.5. I'll cut this. I'll slip it through the needle. Like so. Turn the needle around and I'll poke it through 3 times. 2 or 3 times is twice is sufficient. I go 3 and pull that, and that sets the needle. It ain't going nowhere. Do it the same thing on the other side. We're gonna be doing what they call a saddle stitch, which is the strongest stitch there is for hand sewing leather. It basically locks down on itself as you sew. I'll show you that technique as I do it. Once again, about 6 inches down, I'll poke the needle back through it 3 times and pull it back the opposite direction. Okay, it's ready to go. All right, now I got my stitch and pony here ready to go. Okay, I'm going to show you how I do the saddle stitch here. Start the first hole at the top and pull it through. I use a pair of pliers because it's tough to go through this calcium on this hornback alligator. Okay, once you get through, you're going to double your 2 ends up so you got equal amount of slack. Then you'll go through the next hole, pull it through, and leave yourself a loop there. Now, the needle on the opposite side, you're going to come back through that hole you just went through with the last stitch. You'll wrap your thread around it once. Get your pliers here, pull it through, pull it taut. That locks the thread in place. You'll do this all the way down. You'll see I'll do a couple more stitches. Next hole. And wiggle the needle so it gets a little looser. Drop my damn pliers. Alright. Pull the needle through, leave you that loop right there. Take the opposite needle from the other side, come back through that hole you just went through. Wrap your line around it once. And pull it through with the pliers. And pull it taut. When you loop around once on that around that needle, you're essentially creating a knot. That's what makes it so strong of a knot. Sometimes you can't get through a hole, so you got to persuade it. I get a stitching out here. I'll make this hole a little bit wider. Alright, here's how I cut this thread off. I'm essentially going to tie a square knot. It'll be right over left. Pull it tight. Then left over right. Pull it tight. Then you'll cut the excess. and you'll heat up the excess with a lighter. This is that sinew thread that I'm using here. I'll take a lighter, light up these ends that are frayed above the knot, and melt all this together and keep it from ever coming apart. Alright, now I'm going to get me a tack hammer, and I'm going to hammer these threads down. That essentially locks all the threads together really nice and actually flattens them and thickens them up a bit so it's more pronounced. You see them a little better. But the main thing is to lock them all in. When you pound down on it like this, you're essentially pounding that knot tighter together in each stitch that you made. Try not to go too crazy on the side because you don't want to put dents all over the leather. I'm just hitting the threads area. Alright folks, here's a mock-up of what it's going to look like. Basically, the whole front of the sheath is done. Now it's time to get it ready for the back portion. Okay, right here I'm going to be tracing out the outside of this front face of the sheath that I created with the gray pencil here that'll cut out, and I'm going to make what's called the welt area. Essentially, you got to build up a layer or two of material to make up for the thickness of the knife blade that the knife blade will slip into so it doesn't harm the stitching when you put it in the sheath. So I'll cut this out and get it ready. Now time for some more equal weld glue. I'm going to glue the welt to the back front face of the sheath. Alright, now I got a skiving tool here for cutting and skiving, but I use it for scuffing up my surface. This is the face side of this leather, so I have to scuff it up to make it a better adhesion to the rest of the sheath. You can see the difference here from the left and right. Okay, now it's time to prep this back of the sheath. Get it all ready for putting the strap on for the knife handle itself. And getting it ready to glue up. Putting the front face onto it. So it'll go like this right here. But before I do that, since the back part at the guard of the knife holds it up in the sheath, the blade gets held up in the sheath with the guard from the guard thickness. I've actually got to put some more welting within about 4 to 5 inches from the top down. It'll essentially have about 3 layers right here where the guard hits the top of the sheath. So I'm just figuring out now where everything goes, where I want my strap, and laying it out and getting it ready. I'll hold this up, you can see what I'm talking about here. See how much higher the blade rises from the sheath. So I gotta add about 4 to 5 inches. And that'll be skived down at an angle, just like the blade is when it goes into the sheath. I will get these done and cut out and ready to glue in. I gotta scuff the surface of the tops of these for the next layer after it. I'll do that now and show you what's next. While the glue's drying, now's the time I can get my strap figured out and get it dyed, as I'm doing now. Ready to go. Okay, here now you're seeing me skive this with my skiving knife that I made for myself, by the way, on an angle downwards. Since the blade goes on an angle into the sheath from the guard, you want that smooth transition from top to bottom, from piece to piece that you add into the sheath. Okay, it looks like I gotta add probably about an inch and a half more. A little bit of thickness yet still. So I'll get 2 more pieces put in and show you what's next. I have about an inch and a half to 2 inches yet. I gotta add some more material too. Get that skived down and ready to go. As you can see here, I just glued it in. Or getting ready to anyways. I'll get this glued in and then go from there. Now here I'm figuring out where I want to put my knife strap at to go around the handle of the knife. And basically the sheath shape and design is very similar to the original knife sheath that the Camelus USN Mark II came in. I'm putting my strap down a little bit further. They had theirs almost towards the top. I'll get this punched out and get it riveted in place. Okay, now I am skiving the edges here. I'm cutting the edges, rounding them over top and bottom so I can slick it to a nice rounded edge. You do this before you put the strap in place and together. It's a lot easier. You don't want to do it while it's together, so you do it now while it's flat. Okay, right here I'm putting my logo on the back of it. I just pounded in with a brass mallet. You can press it in with an arbor press. You can see here, a couple good whacks and it gets it real nice on a nice flat marble surface. Okay, now it's time to treat the edges. I got some Eco Flow here to burnish the edges. Eco Flow can be found at any leather supply shop, or you can get it on Amazon. I just rub it on with my finger. And then in the drill presser, I got a burnishing tool. Makes it a lot quicker. You want to get these edges done now before you rivet the strap in place. It'd be too hard to do it once it's together, so you do it now. Alright, now you want to put on what's called tokenol on the back side of the strap. Tokenol is used to smooth out and coat the back side of the leather so it doesn't stain your belt or anything it comes in contact with. And you also use this tokenol for doing your edging too. Instead of that equal flow that I was using, you could use this tokenol. A lot of guys prefer to use tokenol for everything. I'm running low on it, so I got to get some more. It's been 3 years I've used this jar. Bigger jars go a long way. I'm coming to the end of it, so I'll get this all on, and then I use a piece of angled wood here to work it into the leather really good. You'll see that coming up here next. All right, there it is. Let this dry here, and then I'll get it together and get it riveted up next. I'm doing the same thing to the strap here, putting the tokenol on it and smoothing it out. Now it's time to get my strap riveted on. I got some number 25 rivets here. Just pound them in flat. And I'll punch it out soon here and get it ready for the snap. I probably won't do that until after I get the... No, I'll do it now. I gotta get some new dies for this punch. They're starting to wear out. I mean, they're not cutting through the leather smoothly, so. Sorry about the view here. Can't always get things perfect in these videos, but basically what I did was I punched out the holes for the strap, for the button that goes on the strap. And now I'm riveting the strap in place. This is done exactly like the original one was done. And the nylon ballistic belt loop that came around, they had it riveted in place. I'm doing the same thing here. 2 rivets hold it in place just fine. This thing's almost ready to glue the front to the back. Time now to get this thing prepped and ready to glue together. That's coming up next. Alright, now it's time to glue this together with some more equal weld. The front is finally getting glued to the back. Get ready to stitch this bad boy up and be done with it. Sorry about the long video, folks, but nobody else, these people with the 80 to 100 plus thousand subscribers, the more subscribers they get, it seems like the less detail they show for like the beginner type individual who wants to do this. So my videos are longer, but in the end you get a better understanding of what's going on and how this is done than just watching videos with no sound, with them telling you nothing and showing a lot of this detail. Therefore it makes a longer video. So, you know, I like to cover both bases. Some guys are more experienced, but a lot of you ain't. And I give you a little more detail here. And I thank you for being here this long. If you've been here this long so far, and please subscribe if you haven't done so. I got a lot of great videos coming out, making knives and repairing knives, cleaning up knives, all kinds of stuff. And then my playlist has a world of knowledge in there for you to learn the history of different knife companies and whatnot. But I just thought I'd share all that with you. And I thank you for being here, and thanks for helping support my channel. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos if you can, please, to friends you may have that might want to learn how to do this. And thanks for watching. Okay, here you see me pounding this down, and now I'm trimming it. It's almost ready to sew. I'll take care of these edges next. Okay, now I'm cutting this sheath out, getting it ready to edge it. I'll take it over to the sander and clean up the edges after I get it cut out here. Alright, now I'm at the belt sander here. I'm going to clean up these edges, get them nice and flat, ready to detail them, and get it ready to punch it up and stitch it next. You're just about done. Okay, I'm touching this up now with some 600 grit. Get it nice and smooth. Get ready to dye these edges and slick it up. Alright, off to the edging tools. I got these two edging tools here. You can see here, I'll zoom in a little bit, and you can see one's wider than the other on the left. This is the wider one. That's what you want with this thicker leather. The other one was used for single to double layer, but I got like 3 layers on this. So I'm going to edge it all the way around now. Get it nice and rounded over on the edges, so when I slick it, it looks real nice and professional. Alright, here she is, folks. Edges in the front and the back are rounded over. I'll get some dye out and get ready to dye it up. Prep it for slicking. Alright, time to dye these edges. Get some black dye here. The whole thing is black, so get out the black dye here and a little diver and dab these edges with black dye. Okay, here I'm using a blow dryer to speed up the drying process so I can get ready to slick this. Get it ready to drill my holes out for my stitching. I'll punch them first just to lay it out, and then I'll drill them on the drill press. And she'll be ready to hand sew. And as you can see here, coming along, that's what we have so far. So now I'm gonna be putting a snap in here. So lay this out for a snap, get it in. Getting close, folks. Okay, now I'm reaming out the back side of the holes. I didn't want to show you drilling out all these holes in the front. Same process when I did the front inlay. You want to take the holes on the outside through with the drill press all the way around. And now I'm reaming them out in the back to make the back of the holes as equal to the front of the holes. So when I hand sew it, it's a lot easier. All right, time to sew this up. I'm going to show you here real quick again one more time how I start this. I got my thread 7 strands instead of 6 like I did on the front part because we got a thicker welt now, so I need a little bit longer thread to sew this all the way around. So I get my needle started in this and then get my lengths equal from each side of the hole. Once I get the first needle through, I'm only going to show you a little bit of this, but you get the idea from same process when I did the front inlaid part. Set once again the saddle stitch. All right, now I got my equal lengths here. Get my thread organized here. All right, now I'll go through the second hole in the front. Pull that through with the pliers. Leave that loop like I said. And I'll come with the other opposite needle from the other side. Come back through that same hole I just went through from the back side. I'm going through 4 layers right here, so it's kind of tough. You're gonna have to use your pliers. Pull it through. Pull it tight. Remember, every time the second needle comes through from the back into the front, you want to wrap around it to create that loop over the needle, which locks the thread in place each time down. So you see here I went through the front. I'll pull, make that loop right there. Then I'll come in from the back. And before I pull it through with the pliers, I'll take that loop and wrap it around the needle right here. That locks the stitch in, like I said. Pull it through and pull each end tight. Okay? I'm going to get the sewing this down now, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished. Okay, here I'm punching a hole out at the bottom. There's a sheath to put a lanyard on it for your a leg lanyard. Punch the hole out here, and then I'm going to get a rivet set. Put a rivet in here. There's the rivet. I'll get my rivet set here. Okay, finally nearing the end here. We got some Resolene, which is an acrylic finish. I'm going to finish off this whole sheath with this Resolene. This will seal it in from water damage. You can also use a oil and a carnauba cream wax to weatherproof it too. But a lot of time you use this Resolene here, you're gonna antique the front. In this case, I'm not gonna antique it. I'm just gonna wipe this Resolene on here and let it dry, and I'll tie the lanyard on it, and I'll show you the finished sheath here. So, take the knife out here, and I'll coat this whole thing with Resolene. Let it dry up, and it's done. Other than tying the lanyard on, and I'll show you what it looks like with the lanyard tied on it when I'm done. Thanks for watching, folks. Again, like I said, please subscribe and click like the video. And sorry it was so long, but it's necessary to show the details here a little bit better than most, so some of you beginners can really understand how this is done. Hope you like it. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Peace.